Welcome to Charissa Marie's Maternal Musings. I'm your host, Charissa Marie. Join me for heartfelt conversations with mothers, aunts, and fellow moms who also happen to be entrepreneurs, teachers, doctors, therapists, and more. We'll share profound life advice and wisdom, exploring personal experiences, life lessons, and professional expertise to enlighten, encourage, and empower. Tune in for inspiration and subscribe to join our journey of growth and empowerment. Hello, it's Charissa Marie with Charissa Marie's Maternal Musing. Welcome to episode 2. And so here's what to expect in this episode. I am interviewing 2 wonderful educators. I have back with me Stephanie Lynum and her sister, Victoria, we call her Vicky, Greene. And they are both educators in Texas, and you know, they are very knowledgeable, like many of our educators are, but since I know them and I know how they just love what they do, as most educators, but I happen to know them. And so that's who I went to. I leaned on some people that I know to be good human beings in my life. So this subject matter, we intended on speaking on 3 topics today. And in hindsight, that would have been impossible because all 3, especially 2, are very opinionated and really wanted to give them that stage to express their thoughts on these subjects, because I wanted to hear those subjects, and I thought they would be very important for you to hear their thoughts on those subjects and to spark a conversation about it. So we actually intended on speaking on AI and the pros and cons and troubles of it here with education and our children and schools. And then we were going to also speak about the positives of internet, meaning, you know, learning things like for instance, my daughter learned how to play electric guitar and bass guitar because of YouTube. And so there are some pros to internet. And then we were going to also talk about cyberbullying, which is a real problem, you know, and then because they are first a hand when it comes to seeing the kids every day, and of course we do as parents, but they can kind of see some of those things play out in social settings. So I thought that would be a really good and interesting conversation to have with educators. With that being said, that was too much to fit into one podcast. So we ended up just talking about AI, the pros and cons and effects of it, and are we helping or harming our children? So please tune in, enjoy, and remember, we want this to grow. We want this to be a nice, safe place for people to come and talk about things on our hearts, on our minds, and to educate each other and enlighten each other and empower each other with new information. So I'm going to need you to, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the notification button. Please go ahead, hit that like, the thumbs up, and then share this. And it doesn't cost you a thing to do that. I love and appreciate you for tuning in to watch it. But if you're on a podcast, tune in, download, listen, and DM me. Let me know what you think about things. I want to know. We wanted to make this a welcome place, and we also wanted to get better on this journey together. So yeah, communicate with me. So I hope you enjoy Vicky and Stephanie. We have a great conversation, and it's coming up next. See you the next time. Enjoy. So far. There we go. Okay. All right. Hello. So this is Charissa Marie with Charissa Marie's Motherhood Musings, and I am ready to have fun. You all, we're going to be educated, but we're also going to have a lot of fun. So today we have Miss Stephanie Lynum, and we have her sister, Victoria Greene, and they are both educators. And so not only are they educators, they're just beautiful people. And they're just light. They're just light. So we have some really good topics to discuss. Besides just learning things and keeping our kids prepared over the summer, which is what we talked about last time, we have a whole new problem as parents and children, whether they believe it or not, and that is the internet. And the internet has been around technically since 1995, but in 1995 there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, there was no cyberbullying yet, because we weren't doing things, we weren't posting things every second of the day. And we know that especially teenagers, preteens, tweens, they are easily and heavily influenced by the images that they see on things like Instagram and TikTok. I know this because when I talk to my daughter, she's really more into my 14-year-old. She's into YouTube because she enjoys music. She likes listening to 70s, 80s, 90s rock and roll. Yes. And so she learns things on the internet. So the internet has some, there is a lot of positive things in the internet. She's taught herself how to play electric guitar on the internet, which is great.
Wow.
And now they're in there talking about forming a band, so I'm like, okay, that's useful internet behavior. But what is scary is when they are on like Instagram and they're looking at who's posting what, who has been where. I believe, and it's because of my household, we're behind the curve. She's behind the curve when it comes to that, by design, because it's not something that I promote in my household, really. You know what I mean? I can't explain it. Just like as if my oldest daughter didn't really play a lot of video games, where video games were a big deal for everyone else. It's just because in my little bubble, purpose, by design, I just did not, it just wasn't a thing. And so I know she has an Instagram account, but there's like no activity on it. And I'm kind of like, good. I know this because I'm a mother and I inspect things. Don't ask. Yeah. So, but I think about the fact that they get all of their information from the internet. She'll say things like, "Mom, that's not true. I saw it on YouTube." I said, that is not the news. That is YouTube.
YouTube is equivalent to Wikipedia.
Right.
More research.
And so this is why I really thought it was really important to have Vicki and Stephanie here, because they are firsthand seeing what happens, with our kids and what's going on in school. How is it affecting them in school? How does it affect their heart and soul? How are they being affected by the internet, their psyche? So I don't know really who to start with, because they're both right in the line of fire of our children. So what I will do, I think I will start with Stephanie. First of all, before we go any further, Stephanie, let me say that you and Victoria are both educators. And before we get into this subject matter, Victoria, tell me about because this is really important, I think, for people to know, and I think it's inspiring. How did you even become a teacher? You have a whole
This is so interesting. Yes, I can't wait to hear this.
Shut up.
So what I will say, Vicki, that Stephanie speaks so highly of you. She loves you to pieces, obviously.
Yeah. I do.
Daddy said you had to.
Daddy lied to you.
She talks about really how smart you are, and and you both went to you have, and you may not remember stuff.
Oh, okay. That had been a long time ago. Long time ago.
But and it's a beautiful thing to see sisters love on each other like that. We are so in a world, we are preoccupied with our life, with our businesses, with our families, and the sad truth is, and there's like competition with sisters now. You know what I mean? I think it's always been, but from what I have known about Stephanie, it's more of a supportive, loving kind of, I got this, you got this too. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a, we in this together kind of a, you know what I'm saying? And that just makes I know.
Call ourselves a goon squad.
We ride for each other. I mean,
and that makes me my heart smile. It makes my heart smile. And okay, I know I'm corny, but I accept and acknowledge that. But it makes my heart smile. But here's the thing: more people need to see this. More people need to see what this looks like, which is why it was also, thank you, Stephanie, for even coming up with it. This was really Stephanie's idea. Stephanie's like, you have to have my sister on. And it makes sense. People actually need to see this because we don't see it enough with reality TV, it's just, we don't see it enough. So thank you so much for being here. So, but before we get into this, so that people can know who you are, the people got to know Stephanie. Tell me about your journey to being I think an awesome educator. Tell me about that journey.
Thank you. So the journey I tell my students.
Do not say that. Can we, before she starts, we gotta put out a disclaimer.
Let me put out a disclaimer. Look, the views of the things that come out my mouth are solely mine and do not belong to anybody else. Let me just put that disclaimer out there real quick.
Because she cray for real.
Don't y'all cancel nobody.
Cancel her, but don't cancel us.
Girl, shut up. So I always tell my students, I tell my students this results of a teen pregnancy. You end up as a teacher. We're broke. No. So growing up, education was always very important, right? My mom, I'm not sure if Stephanie probably has already explained this, but mom ended up being a high school dropout. And so eventually she went back to get her GED and was working towards an associate's. My dad probably dropped out. This is back in the day when, they probably put you on special ed because you sneezed too hard, right? So he probably dropped out back in elementary, middle school, right? And he was illiterate.
I believe he was in middle school.
Okay.
Yes, he was special ed. And
which he would have, if this had been now, he would have had a bunch of services and things like that. But he didn't know how to read. He couldn't write. And so we actually
taught him to read.
Taught him to read, taught him to write, where he could actually be at the point where he could not just write his name, but actually read a few things and write things down. And so it kind of started from there. As a kid, it was kind of always, you were outside playing, we were playing school because why not? We should have been playing before. We were teaching. We didn't know no better. And then eventually careers, restaurant management, things of that sort. And I decided, I seen my sister teaching and I said, oh, my sister can do it. She gets summers off. Then I saw her doing it and I was like, you know what? You just need to do more work on your conference. That's why you always working on the weekends. And then I got into subbing. Shut up. I got into subbing.
I got dogged out. So she's trying to make all light of it. She was, you need to do what's important first. I was like, but all of this is important.
Shut up. Anyways, got into subbing and I happened to be her sub. And I would happen to be subbing over she was a teacher at Alternative. Which side note, I absolutely love and adore the babies at Alternative. Like those are my absolute favorite. Those that always keep getting in trouble, those are my babies. Most respectful babies you will ever meet. And so Then after that, I kind of went the alternative certification route down here in Texas and went through Texas Teachers. Went through there, did my first year of teaching. Certification was in grades 7 through 12. And then after my first year, my principal said, hey, I want you to teach 6th grade. And I was like, I don't have a certification for that. And they were like, go back and get another one. And I was like, okay. So now I'm certified to teach 4 through 7 and then 7 through 12. So in all grades 4 through 12. We've got both of us have the ESL supplemental cert, so we can teach those new language learners, EB, emergent bilinguals. So that's kind of how I got into the teaching. I just finished year 7. Child. I think I was gonna make this long.
Still can't work a copier, bulletin board paper.
I figured out the copier. Paper, I don't even use the bulletin board paper. It's unnecessary. My bulletin board got felt on it. I don't even need it.
And but she's still working on her content. How do I know this? Because I get phone calls in the middle of class. I need a real English teacher. Dude, I'm in the middle of teaching.
Because you know what? You got to be honest with the kids. You can't sit there and let them know you have every answer. I don't. First, I go to Google, and Google don't have it. I go to Stephanie. And then they already knew. They're like, you calling your sister? I'm like, I'm calling my sister. I'm going to put her on speaker because I don't know the answer to this question, baby. What? I'm doing the best over here, baby. I don't know what to tell you. Let me call my sister. And my sister would usually have the answer. Because why not?
Because I know my content. That's all I'm saying.
Texas says I'm highly qualified.
Texas lied to you.
Girl, shut up.
She didn't want to think she called who she knew. Like, it's like, if you can't Google it, I'm calling my sister.
Exactly. And they already knew. And it wasn't even an issue because they already knew when they heard the phone ring and you calling your sister, I'm calling my sister. Now, I don't know. Sometimes I wouldn't even go to Google. I just be like, oh, that's a great question, baby. Let me call my sister. And then she'd have the audacity to say, I'm teaching. Okay, but I need you to help me with this class. What? Use them degrees you got. You got 37 of them. Go ahead and use one of them. One or two of them to help me out.
You know what? Only got a couple. She has audacity to get mad at me when I don't answer the phone. I'm sorry, I don't sit by the phone all day waiting on you to call me for, I don't know, simple questions. Does a comma go there? Do you capitalize this? Is this the right word for this? No.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% we'll do it again. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So now, Vicki, that now it speaks volumes that so when you first started teaching, they already, it seems to me, they knew already that, okay, she's going to be a dynamic educator. We want her to do more. And they said, you need to go get certified to do more.
Nah, they were just desperate.
Shut up.
No.
I think that they could already see where I needed to be placed because I honestly, starting off, I started with 8th grade and then I fell in love with 6th grade. And so teaching 9th grade now, I feel like 9th graders are just tall 6th graders. And because I loved teaching 6th grade, I love teaching 9th graders because they're identical. You get them a sticker. In my classroom, I would give out erasers when somebody was being a buddy and not a bully. And I'd be like, well, thank you, baby, for being a buddy and not a bully. I'm going to let you pick out an eraser. And that was like the big thing.
Where did you get those erasers from?
I got them from Walmart. You sure? I bought them. With my own money. I ain't steal them from you. This time I purchased some this year. Look at me, growth.
This time she's got them herself from Walmart.
Myself purchased.
Wait, let me tell you, Charissa. Let me tell you. So when I came to Texas, the first year I taught high school in a regular high school. Then I moved up to the alternative school. So then that's when she was kind of going through her process. And like I said, I love teaching at the alternative school. The only reason I stopped teaching was because they moved our alternative school to another district. And so then I went back to the high school for a few years. But while I was there, it was so funny because prior to, and I think I might have mentioned this before, prior to my sister seeing me in an actual classroom, she's like, you're the biggest goofball out there. Who's going to ever listen to you? But then when she saw me in a classroom, she's like, whoa, okay. She's okay. But what was so funny is, like I said, she would sub and different things, and she would literally come into my room, and she's in my closet stealing my stuff, and the kids are laughing because she's open about it. You have got to hear.
If I'm gonna do it at your house, why am I not gonna do it at your classroom? I'm shopping.
Yes, she does shop at my house, but then she constantly talking about, you're such a hoarder. You always just got all this stuff, but every time I turn around, she needs something. One day I walked in her classroom and I was like, oh, I like these. They were index cards, but they were Post-it note index cards. I was like, oh, these are nice. Oh, where'd you get these? She said, oh, your garage. Wait a minute, you stole it from? How you steal something I had? I forgot I had. Where they do that at? So yeah, I would just like to say, yeah, this one right here, Tom, on that list. I'll see how much more stuff comes missing.
Well, you're going in and out. So what we're going to do, because I don't want to lose you, we're going to.
Oh no.
Yeah, okay. I hear you now, but it was kind of going in and out.
Okay.
So you guys, all right. So let's start with the AI. Okay. And from what I understand, you both kind of have different views on AI. Let's start with the fact that AI is making it very convenient for kids to do their work. Just like the GPS is making it easy for us to get from one place to the other. However, what is the, where is the cutoff in all this? What do you think about this? Stephanie, I think you're on mute. But
I muted myself in hopes that
it's really clear now.
Okay.
Oh, that does sound better. So
I would like for Vicky to start. Oh, by the way, I call her Vicky, so I would like for her to start because we do have different views.
Professionally at work, I go by Tori, T-O-R-I. So can you repeat which part of the question you want me to start?
Sure. Yeah. So what is your thoughts on AI and student use now in these days in education?
AI and student use, my thought of it is that it's not going anywhere, and we have to show the students how to use it responsibly. Because I always think of it like, remember how back in the day when you had to learn a Dewey Decimal System, you had to be in the library, you had to go do research, you had to pull the Encyclopedia Britannica. People were coming home, there was door-to-door salesmen trying to sell you Encyclopedia Britannica. And then this new technology came out, what's called the internet, and you were able to go online and find your information faster, right? And I'm sure the people that back and during those days felt the same way. Technology is moving too fast. They're never going to be able to do research. They've got to learn. They've got to look at these books. Okay. And so now this is us stepping into the future, and AI has to be taught how to be used responsibly. We already use AI to some degree. We started off with Word, and Word would do the spelling check. Then we've got it where there's Grammarly, which is an AI component, which takes what you've written in and changes it up and helps you make it better. So I think that we just need to know, and there are free programs and things online that have not only a teacher component to it, but a student component to it. So we need to make sure that we are showing them the student component. I have a coworker who teaches 10th grade, and one of the things that he wanted to do was just show students how to use it for ideas, kind of like how we do Wikipedia. And so he was trying to help his students to start with a hook and start their essay off. And no, you can't copy and paste it. You can't, this is plagiarism. However, you can, if you don't have an idea, this is a great starting point. So I think we just need to be responsible with it. And we need to show students, okay, this is the acceptable use of it because it's not going away. Most cell phones, at least not most of them, but some of the cell phones they have an AI component already. If you update your phone, Google has the AI component as it is. We just have to teach them how to be responsible with it. And no, you can't turn around. Being responsible does not mean copying what you got from Chat GPT, because child, we gonna recognize it. Your teacher will recognize that's not your writing. I had a student turn it in 2 assignments. It was supposed to be 3 sentences. I was like, baby, where you copy this from? Because this ain't you. What do you? And that's exactly how I spoke to him. I said, this ain't you. What is you doing? What are you? No, you get a 0. But that's just my take on it. It's not going anywhere. We have to teach students to be responsible with it. And it starts with getting past the narrow-minded people that are making the decisions to go, no, we can't, because we're going to lose teachers, because we're not going anywhere. Don't nobody want to teach. We got job security. Like, we ain't going nowhere. AI can't replace me. It can add to, but it's not going to. Girl, shut up. AI will never replace me. No.
I never even thought about that responsible until you mentioned it. Like about teachers possibly feeling like, oh, we're going to be replaced. I never even thought about that.
And it's not even, we're not going to be replaced. And as a matter of fact, we've got, depending on where you're working, your district may be, my district is more AI friendly. And so they're saying, hey, we know the workload is kind of heavy. Here's a suggestion to make it a little lighter. Here are some AI programs we recommend to make things lighter. You want something to write your lesson plan? Baby, just put the right words in there and it will write your lesson plan for you. It will put it into the template. Like, so, but going to your question, for the students, we have to be responsible and we have to make sure that we are teaching them how it can be useful. And we also have to make sure we let them know that, that it's not okay until they get the fundamentals and the foundations and that you can't just take what it says at face value and go, okay, I'm gonna put this in my paper. This is great. No, that's an idea, baby. That's an idea to give you a suggestion, but you need to come up with your own words, your own thoughts. We're just gonna help you fix it. AI is gonna help you tweak it, but it's not going to write it for you. That's not being responsible.
Now, Stephanie, after you give me what your take on it, I want to hear, how do we monitor that? But Stephanie, tell me, what is your idea on AI and student use?
So first of all, I will say that my sister brought up a good point about the encyclopedia bit and she's right. You know, they used to have the encyclopedia salespeople come door to door. I have never thought of it in that manner. So after listening to her say that, I'm like, okay. Now, it's interesting because at the beginning of this school year that we just ended or about to end, we had, as usual, professional development trainings and things. And so one of the topics was talking about AI. And at first I was like, yeah, you know, that might be good. And I think that would be good for the kids to use. But then as we started talking a little more, and then our district coordinator for the high school English teachers, he got up there and he did some just a quick little prompt and put some things in and then showed us what AI came up with. And then he said, okay, you know, the students, they can even put in a few mistakes and you know, to make it look like it's something that might be a high school student wrote. And then I said, oh, wait a minute, this might not be so good. Because it did come up with a full essay or full whatever you're looking for. Now, I was just reading something, and Vicky's right. I was reading an article and a gentleman was talking about AI and how he had it type out something. He did ask for 5 paragraphs. It gave it 6. He went back again saying 5 paragraphs. So yeah, a lot of times the students, they'll just take whatever it is and okay, boom, won't read over and give it in. So, and I get what Vicky's saying, you know, we have to teach them the right way, responsibility. But then, and like I said, this article I read was kind of most recent and it solidified a little bit more how I feel. I feel that right now is not the time for the students to be relying upon AI. And I get it. We have AI built into, I mean, now every time I open up something, do you need help with AI? The AI could just, I don't need AI to type my text message or whatever. I know what I'm going to say. But yes, it is built in. But then when do we actually have the time to teach them how to do it the right way and use it as a resource versus, you know, hey, look, don't use this as your end all be all. Because as teachers, we already have so much we have to do. And so she just like her, I had it's so funny. I had the students working on a pop-up book, and they got to choose who their partners were. So I told them, I said, yes, you divvy out who's going to do what, but everybody is responsible for everybody's paragraphs, which means you go back in and read and blah 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 and make sure. And I had one student who decided to use AI, as well as when I found out, asked him, he said, well, my brother helped me too. And but they're supposed to generate ideas for you. You're not supposed to have them do the writing for you. And I found that to be interesting, that, oh, he thought that it was okay. I have a coworker next door, and he has a student who's very intelligent. He said, but the student has used AI on multiple papers, essays. Now, my coworker is teaching a dual credit course. So it's a high school plus you can get college credit. What do you mean you use AI to do? But this kid just kept submitting stuff. He's like, I'm telling you, you cannot submit the work that's been done by AI. No. And so I feel as though a lot of times the students are not going to put forth the effort in writing. And they're just going to say, well, hey, here's something here. When I first started in Texas, I was told the 5-paragraph essay, they shunned against that so much. And I'm like, but that's all I know how to teach kids, for the most part, because you taught them intro paragraph, 3 body paragraphs, and your conclusion, 5-paragraph essay. No, they can't. That's formulaic. They can't have that. They need to be able to think and write and how they do and all. And I'm like, yeah, but they can't write that well. They need a template. They need something. And so finally I got to the point, I was like, whatever, I'm gonna teach how I'm gonna teach. And so I gave them a template, because a lot of kids don't know how to write, how to formulate their ideas. And so now I look at it and say, well, if we have the AI do it, or not we, but they use the AI to do it, many of them are not going to think about how do they formulate their own ideas, or how do I come up. And that's the biggest thing, that's the part that when I go home and I'm super duper tired, is on those days when we have writing, because it's pulling teeth to get the kids to even generate ideas, come up with ideas and write. And a lot of them like, I don't know, I can't. And I'm trying to help them through, and here's some ideas, and here, write down some things. Let's choose. It becomes a lot. And so, it has perks, but I see it being used more so for the negative right now, because it is still new, and the kids are gonna be like, this is easy, let me jump on it.
But that's why we have to find a way to teach them responsibly, because just like you mentioned, your dual credit students, and if they're dual credit, that means they're taking high school and college, and depending on the college that they go to, or right away or even later, colleges are now expanding their parameters on AI. I'm in grad school now, and Walden allows it as long as you cite your source. This is graduate school, so I can come out and be a whole graduate and be a whole professional. But in theory, I could have turned in, I could have AI'd my paragraphs. So if you teach them responsibly how to use it, and how to use it for ideas, and how to use it and not as the be all end all, then I think that prepares them not only for high school, but it also prepares them for the college. And the reality of that, no one is checking. I mean, people are checking, but they're not really checking. So if they don't know how to use it responsibly, and when they get to college, and if it's accepted in any form, even Grammarly is AI. Grammarly is something that's acceptable, but then depending on the school that you go to, Grammarly may not be acceptable. So
and that's what I was about to say. I've read some articles where some people have had some major consequences because they submitted their work to Grammarly just so it can check over it. Before AI was the big term, people were using Grammarly, things like that, to kind of check over the work. But now there are some schools that are like, no. And I'm talking college level. And so, it really is that fine line, because I see what you're saying, Vix, about, there's some colleges going to like, yeah, go right ahead. Someone's going to say no, whatever case may be. But then it also becomes a thing, well, if they get so used to it now, And then we say, yes, go ahead and use it, but don't take it everything but from face value. Go in and change a couple things. It doesn't make that, because it's not going to be perfect. But then what happens when they get to college? What about, if they've been doing it, let's just say AI now is coming out and is only going to get, bigger and bigger and bigger type of thing. And you've got a first grader. So by the time they start off pretty much almost using AI in elementary school, all the way through high school, then they get to the college level and they don't know how to write a paper to save their lives with their own, words and thoughts. What happens? What happens when you get to that master's level and you're supposed to write a thesis and you're talking about you're using AI to write that thesis?
But when you get to the master's level, will AI be so advanced that everyone it'll be the acceptable use? Like, you can't sit there and the fear of the unknown stops the technology from advancing. You can't, because then you become stuck, and then it's the fear of the unknown, the fear that the kid who's been using it from first grade won't be able to function when they get to college. Whereas if we were teaching a first grader how to use it responsibly, by the time they get to college, not only will they know how to use it, they will have had some sort of idea of how to start their own papers, how to write their own thesis, which would have eventually, and I know the question was geared towards the high school, it'll help them when they are in high school, so it prepares them for college. But we can't sit there and go, well, we shouldn't do that, because it goes back to the people, the Encyclopedia Britannicas, and I'm pretty sure, again, Encyclopedia Britannica and Word checking, the spelling, they won't know how to spell. Okay. But we taught them how to use it responsibly. So I think that's the way that it needs to go. We teach them how to use it responsibly. We're still, as a teacher, you're still teaching the kids, they're still learning, but show them how to use it responsibly. And then that can make them better writers, not where we're so, again, we're fearful and we stagnate their growth because, well, they might not learn. Okay, well, if you're a good teacher, you could teach them regardless. So maybe it's your fears.
Yeah. This is an awesome subject matter. Now I have two right now. I have a 14-year-old daughter in the house. She's naturally an excellent writer, and my son, who's on the spectrum, he can't right away always process like you said. He needs a template, he has to be shown. Okay, this is how you do it, and for him, even though neither one of them like to use it, neither one of them like to use AI or Chat GPT. But my son sometimes, as a mom, as I watch him struggle, and we could be there for like hours, just trying to watch, trying to figure out how to do one thing. I can see how for him, just seeing like how it should go helps him. But you're right, I have to educate him. Now, this is just a template to show you how you start off and how it's supposed to look. And this is a blueprint for you. So, and it's going to help you figure out how to get it together. Because of his autism, sometimes that helps him kind of get it together. And again, he's so prideful that he really still doesn't like to use it, even though he's somebody that probably could and should, and and would be able to benefit from that. Whereas my daughter, who is naturally a good writer, there was something we were trying to do, and it was one of those times where forget that. This whole year is one of those times she's not listening to mommy. It's like that. So those times, this whole year. And so this summer, I wanted them to volunteer at the library, and I wanted them to work on a cover letter, right? And so they volunteered before last year. And so I said, you want to explain a little bit about yourself, what you did before, and why you think, it's not just a resume, because you don't have really a big resume, but why the things that could help them, when you go to volunteer. And so my son got the assignment. I said, listen, I know you're struggling. So put your thoughts in Chat GPT and see what it says. Now you have to go back and figure out how to re-say it. They're painting a picture for you to figure out how you can write this. Whereas my daughter was like, didn't want no parts of it. Well, why? I'm just good with just the 2 sentences. All I did was help the kids. And so I'm like, so, and it's crazy, right? So on one hand, I'm glad that she's like, I don't need it. I got it. But really she did, because she wasn't listening to me tell her, you need more than 2 sentences. You need it to look like this. I'm trying to show you what the picture looks like. And then you can go back and write it however the heck you want. But at least get the blueprint. So I see the benefit, but I also see how educators are fearful of, and kids too. So will Alonzo be able to formulate a paper by the time, like, will he be able to? And I think that comes down to what Vicki is saying, explaining how to use this. But how do you do that? How do you explain how to use it? And how do you monitor who's going to take advantage of it, even if you explain it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And that's a big thing right there. You're right. Yeah.
So one way to do it is when we do writing in school, you need to have them write in class. Like, you need to have them, don't give them the assignment and say, okay, go ahead and take it to the house and go and finish it, because you can't monitor and you can't adjust. So having them do some writing there, and you can say, okay, so I see what your brain comes up with. Now let's see where we can take this and how we can, or not even that, where the students, because for some students, they get stuck on a part and they can't leave that part, and they probably could do the rest of the writing, but they get stuck. A lot of times it's the intro, it's that hook. They get stuck and then they can't move. And it's like, okay, baby, we'll put the word skip and go to the next sentence or go to the next paragraph, right out of order. And they can't, it's like, so that's how, one of the ways that we can do it. We have them do it inside the classroom. You see it, and then you're like, okay. So then when they try to go home and they try to work on it from home, and they add in some things, and you're like, baby, what is this? Who wrote this? Because this ain't you. I know what you look like. I know what you write like. I spent 176 days with you. What is this? You can't turn. No, pineapples. Turn it. No. Redo it. Erase it. It's a 0. It's a hot mess. What are you doing? No, baby.
So you're saying one way to monitor this is do this in class. Just say, hey,
yes.
And, to do this in front of me, so we can be on one accord, and I know this is you, and you're not just going home and just copying all this information. So monitor in class.
Exactly. It's kind of the mindset. Okay, now I'm not saying to go left field, and you know how I know this thought. A lot of times people will be like, I let my kids drink because it's better to do it at home and I can make sure they're okay. And they say, why did you take it to the education? I need you to do it in class so I can make sure that you are safe, that you are not going to get hurt, that you are not going to hurt somebody, that you are going to be doing this responsibly. So that's how you have to think of it. Have them do it in school, and then you pick up, you can see their voice, you hear their voice, they can find their voice. And then when they have to get suggestions, it's an addition to what they can already do or what they're learning, versus you send them and you're like, okay, well, don't use Chat GPT to write your essay, but I'm gonna send you home to do your entire essay. And I'm gonna believe that every time you come back in, I've never seen you write in class, but every time you come back in, you have a fully put together essay. No. You got to have them do it inside, and in that way you can make those adjustments and you can do it there. But again, that's teaching them responsibly how to do it. And that's one way, is by doing it inside the classroom and not just saying it's a free-for-all when you get outside of this room. This the house. Your classroom is your house for 176 days, and I'm your mama. So you need to do what you're going to do inside this house so I can correct you.
I wouldn't want her as my mama.
You was at
176 days.
I'm going to be that mama for 176 days. I signed up for it. And even afterwards. And so you're not going to embarrass me when you get out in the streets. That's what you're not finna do. So I'm gonna help you while you're here in this house or in the school, in the classroom. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna get you together because you're not gonna be out here making me look crazy. What? No, you're not. You're not gonna do that.
Trust me. They don't have to make you look crazy. You already
Shut up. I also tell the kids don't be running in and out because you're letting my air out. So
Stephanie, so with that being said, because that makes sense. I can kind of see how that could be monitored. And now the thing would be, how would all the educators be down with that? How does that look? And Stephanie, what are your thoughts on monitoring this? Is that something that you would be able to do? Because you mentioned earlier about, that's a whole nother amount of time taken to monitor, I guess, them how to do. What do you think?
So I missed that comment that Vicky just said, but it wasn't important anyway. So for me, I'm also thinking in terms of the traditional teacher. So Vicky is more not traditional teacher, but the traditional setting. Most high school classes, most middle school classes that are divided by subjects, they're about 45 minutes, maybe an hour long. Writing takes a lot of time. And so for me, though, I have the privilege of having block scheduling, which is really, really nice. So my classes are 2 hours and 10 minutes. So could I potentially do this? Yes. Do I have practice essays and things in class? I do. So sometimes I do practice essays that we do as a whole group. Sometimes I have practice essays that they do as their, I have my students sit in groups. So sometimes I have them do practice essays in group wise. I don't usually have them do too many practice essays individually in class because usually that's an assignment and I do send them home to work on that. And it's mainly because writing takes a long time. So when you have them trying to write in class and produce an essay, and I have done this in the past where I've had the 45 minutes and they would do their individual essays or practice essays or something of that nature that wasn't being graded, but it was for them to kind of work on certain skills. It is challenging and it takes so much time. And sometimes you're like, I just don't have the time to do that. Plus the reading, plus this, plus that, it is a lot. And so how much monitoring can you really do in the classroom? In addition to that, there's only so many, I can only speak for myself. I can only sit there and read so many essays. I only have so much time to sit there and read essays. And so if I'm having them do writing all the time, it can become very difficult. If I'm having them do full essays. Now, I know that some teachers, and I've had coworkers that said, well, just have them do the introduction or have them write the whole essay and all you grade is the introduction. But then I'm also the type of teacher, I don't like to get busy work. And so if I'm only going to grade one thing, but I make them write all of this, having them constantly practice writing, but I'm only looking at certain things here and there, that doesn't help anybody because you're going to keep practicing the wrong way. So then I'm going to want you to do the full thing out for the most part. So I see where Vicky's saying, yes, work on a class, we're going to work on a class. But then you can't always, some kids, they just need more time to think. And you only have so many days that you can devote to something because a lot of teachers follow a pacing guide. And so they're like, okay, if this assignment should only take 2 days, that's it, but then they're stuck and they're, on and on, or some really, you just need to sit there and almost, okay, how about this? What about this idea? What about that? Now, I get what you were saying about, your son, how you're like, well, and even your daughter, here's the picture. It paints it for you. There's a difference though between the template that I give my students and going on chat GPT or anywhere else and it actually writing out, because a template is what I show them. I say, okay, this is your intro paragraph, boop, boop, boop. Here are your bullet points of things you can put in there. Here's your first body, boop, boop, boop. But when you go on chat GPT or any other type of AI website, they're not giving you that. And kids aren't going to say, I need a template for how to, because I already gave you a template, so you don't need a template. They're going on there and they're getting a full essay. even if we try to teach them, and Vicky, you already know how many times have we been teaching them saying you have to capitalize the letter I when it's by itself. You have to capitalize.
Oh Lord.
All these things that we actually do teach them and saying this is how
And
you
they don't.
put periods at the end of a sentence, and they still a lot of times won't do those basic things. It's kind of difficult to teach a kid to say, okay, now here's a full essay. For the most part, go back in now, you read what they have, now you have an idea, now take your own words and on an essay on a topic that they already have. How many are realistically going to do that? They're not. They're like, well, I mean, I can go and change a word here or there, boom, I'm done, here I'm gonna submit. So that's the part where I have a hard time of saying, teaching them, allowing them to use ChatGPT, because even if I do say we're just going to use this as a guide, and they're like, I'm not trying to redo some work that's already here done for me. And so because I even give them sample essays in class, it may be on a different topic. But if I'm saying I'm teaching you how to write a persuasive essay, here is an example persuasive essay. Model yours after this. Look at how I did it. Look at some of the things I put examples in there, or use ethos or pathos or logos or whatever. Look at how I did. Now on your topic, you have to write yours. And even if they have an example there, they still can't seem to do that. But if I gave them an example, or I told them go on Chat GPT and find, have it type out something, they're just going to take it and pretty much use it, because they still are like, I still don't know how to write. So that's why I feel providing them templates. And then I have some writers who are much stronger that don't have to necessarily follow my template, because they can arrange their writing in a certain way that it's really, really well constructed. But that's because they're stronger writers. And like I said, I see both sides, but then I also thinking, if we give them the easy way out now, when they get older, they're going to continue to take that easy way out. Now, of course, I also see that as adults, a lot of times you don't always write your own stuff. I mean, we've got politicians that have speech writers, and so they're not writing their own speeches. And yes, we do have companies where, they pay people in the company to write whatever, their book list, whatever they have to write. So, and it's kind of like not using AI, but you're using somebody else's stuff and you're claiming it as your own. So I get that too. So then it also does become, well, once they become an adult and they're working, are they really writing all this? So I like I said, I see the argument from various sides, and it's very much so a fine line, as I said earlier, that you're walking, because yes, we want to teach them how to write, but then once they become adults, how much writing are they really doing? Even yourself, you may not be doing the type of writing you were learning in school. You may just need to send an email out very quickly if you have a question about a bill or whatever. But you're not writing full essays and full whatevers that you were doing in high school and college. So it's going to be difficult, because we already have those students who, like you said, just, I'm going to take the easy way out, because they know this isn't something they want to do. And, at the high school level, they're already a lot of them are set on, I'm not going to college. Even though I work at a STEM school, an early college, high school, where they're literally taking college classes. Some of them like, I'm not going to finish college. I'm not. So then it becomes, they're like, I'm going into this or I'm going into that. And they know they won't have to do a whole lot of writing to go into the fields that they're talking about. And so, yeah, it does become difficult to motivate them to want to do their own writing when they know, hey, I can go over here and get this already done for me and I'm good. Yeah. I see that being.
Yeah.
What about
this is
you?
Tricky. I have used, like, for instance, when I was on my kick of I'm going to rebrand, whatever. I went to Chat GPT and I asked the question, and it was like a teacher teaching me something. So I didn't write it for him. So because I asked for to write me something, I said, how do I best go about growing my podcast? That was the question. And so it was kind of cool because then it popped out, okay, so first you should do this. Second, you should do this. Third, you should do this. Is that a way that, we could possibly use that for kids who are using AI? Like, instead of putting your whole, like, write me a paper on the solar system, maybe we should, encourage instead, how do I properly form a paper? What's step A, B, C? Mm-hmm. How do and I don't know what that looks like. I haven't, but is that something to consider? Like, but again, to Vicki's point, that still has to be monitored. Like you would, you would say, okay, so in class, I'm going to allow you to do this, but this is what we're asking. We're not asking to write a paper on this subject. If you're still not clear after I've taught you or given you, if you need a reminder or whatever, a template of how to write, don't ask AI to write this. Instead, ask AI how to properly format an essay. For your grade level, I guess. But it's almost, there's no, I don't think there's a clear answer to this because it's not going away. And it's actually, it's going to get worse. And then you have to look at the individual. My daughter may go to a traditional university. And for that reason, I'm glad that she prefers to write on her own, because she's learning some skills. And there's no reason for her, there's no reason, because I'm mama and I said so, for her not to put forth effort to do it, because I've seen her and I know that she can. But then there are other students who are perhaps like my son. He's going to be going to school, but not a four-year university. It's going to be a technical school, probably about coding and that sort of thing. And he's really just trying to understand the basics, and so that he can go to technical school and get his job in his technical field. So I think it also has to be considered that individual and what their needs are as we get further along in education, especially high school. Like, how are these kids using AI? Because I have no idea into this conversation about, I think, Vicki, you mentioned some schools accept writing, right? And I think there's some schools that don't. And then I don't know about Grammarly. I'm getting education, because Grammarly for me is how, it's just like making sure that I have my comma here, making sure I'm, properly grammar, right? I'm not thinking about it as AI, but because times have changed and that's like an issue now there are rules in place to look for those things. And we don't want to put our children in a situation where they're not getting credit for any of their work because they are in trouble because they use AI. Mm-hmm. I don't how do you even combat this problem? Like, how do you know what schools accept, don't accept? How do we all get on one accord? Is it even possible to get on one accord when it comes to this subject?
I don't think so. Yeah, not to get on one accord, because you have people, and again, it goes into the deeper reasons that people that are making the decisions are not the people that are in the trenches. They're not teaching the babies how to write a paragraph. So they're the ones that are stuck in that mindset. And you get people that are stuck that are, this is how it should be. This is how it was for me. Okay, baby, but how it was for you, if you taught, what model iPhone was out? Because the world has changed since the iPod and iPads and iPhone 5s. So were you teaching when there was an iPod Touch, baby? The world you were accustomed to is not the world that you live in now. And it's not the world that these kids are growing up in. So we have those people that are stuck in their ways and that are not open to these ideas because it's new and it's confusing for them. Not that it's the way that things are going. And you have to understand that the world is moving and changing, and every piece of technology and everything that's happened as you were getting older was a change, was a movement that somebody before you thought is too much. we can't, cell phones, Wi-Fi, like all of these things. And so I don't see us being able to get net somewhere. Jesus. It's us getting on one accord because we've got those people that are making decisions. So it would be great on the high school level if the principals and the superintendents, they get together on the school calendars, they get together on snow days, they get together to decide who gets to stay home when it's cold and who don't. And if Northside say yes, which is our largest district, then they can get together for everything else. It will require the districts and on a high school level, the independent school districts is how it is down here, to get together and say, this is what we're going to do. And this is how we're all going to be on one accord. Because yes, you're right. When you get to that college level or grad school level, as Steph was saying, she's read where there are places that you get in trouble if you use Grammarly because you use AI. I'm in grad school at Walden and they pay for Grammarly Premium. And they're like, I've gotten points knocked off because I didn't use Grammarly. I didn't run it through AI. I didn't run it through Grammarly. And I've gotten a message, next time run it through Grammarly. Okay, you ain't got to tell me but once. Because what we're not going to do is have me spend all this money and you're going to take points from me. You playing with my GPA. So it's they're okay with that. So it's that it has to be where everybody gets on that one accord, at least at the school level. It has to be state level. And then it can go out to the different, and so then that way, when you are getting prepared, when you're going to college, there isn't one school that's looked down upon or another one. Well, this one is a great school. Oh, but they allowed this type of technology. So in 5 years, we're talking about AI now. What will it be in 5 years? So I think it's at this point, it's not going to be where it's everybody, because those people, we got to wait till they go ahead and go on and perish, going back to the Father. We got to wait because some of them already, they close, they knocking on the door, they right there, they rang the ring doorbell, they just waiting for the Father to go ahead and check it and answer.
I knew. Why did I know you were going to say that? I knew. I thought you were going to say retire. Like retire.
Oh no, I thought she was gonna say go on to glory. I thought she was gonna use those words, but
they right there. They are right there going about to meet the Father. They close. They so close. They just they done rang the doorbell. They just wait. They waiting for Daddy to go on and open the door. Usher them in.
Somebody need to usher you in.
I know what you mean.
Somewhere. Get some medication. Get some help.
But
I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying. Because some change, and I'm sure. Look, the generation under us, they probably like, when they gonna just be gone so we can do.
That's exactly what they're thinking. They every day something new comes out, something updated, something that for us it just blows our minds, and they sitting there like, I mean, something as simple as I didn't even know about my phone and the air touch and not air touch, whatever the touch thing is with the iPhone, and you can link up two phones together and they can breathe on each other and they can share AirDrop. And I was like, what? And my students was like, you don't know about AirDrop?
They can touch and breathe.
They can touch and agree. Like you put two iPhones together and then the AirDrop. And so sometimes my students, they would AirDrop me and I would be like, I don't want you to get my real phone number because I don't need you stalking me, baby. And they'd be like, well, I'm not going to get your real phone number, but look, Miss Greene, let me show you this. I was like, oh, where did it come from? Did you know? And they just be looking at me like, go ahead and go. You ain't ready to leave
the invisible pearls.
I clutch the pearls all day long. You got to clutch the pearls. All day long. It's what my classroom is like. I clutch clutching them.
Terrifying. It's true. But
it is.
It is true. It's like and because because I'm in a 50s club, right? And it's so funny. The funny thing is when my child, well, Adira especially, she's rough on me, right? So, and I'm sure it's in love. But
right.
But she'll say, I don't know. I think I was doing something on my phone, and I was doing this, and I was doing this. I don't know what I was doing. It's little, and she said, "Mom, don't do that." said, what? She said, you look like an old person who doesn't know how to use your phone.
Oh, bless her heart. Now, you have an iPhone. You ain't gone onto the accessibility features and increase the size of your letters and your temp. Girl, you better go on in there, and that's meant for us.
You can do that for Android too, because that's the dark side over there of the iPhone.
Can it do that? Can Android do that? Oh, I didn't know Android had that capability. I thought they could just power on and off. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know how to do the basics. But that's when it comes to AI, when it comes to technology, progressing, and
yes.
Just like you were talking about some of the leadership, just not understanding it to even really be able to speak on it, to be honest. It's just kind of like, it's new, this new thing, and it's intimidating for me as a parent, even. So I can't imagine how, someone in leadership who might be in generations older than me are kind of looking at this like, nope, this is cheating. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? Not understanding that it's not, it could be a tool. And I'm kind of right in the middle here, and I have a unique situation with like two types of very different learners, you know what I mean? So I can see how this can be hard. And I agree with you that I don't see how this is going to ever be like we can all get on one accord. Unless, like you said,
can't. It's because I know she was speaking about the districts in our area, but it goes beyond that because we have children now that are much more transit than they were prior to. It could be because of military. It could be because of financial reasons where they have to move a lot. We also, as we stated, we're in San Antonio. So and it's even more so the closer you get to the border. We've got children coming from various other countries as well. So it's not like we can really get on one accord because whatever education they had in their country or their state or their whatever, whatever it is, homeschooling, whatever it is, it's not going to be able to line up if they move somewhere that this is how it's been. They just have to learn to be with that. And that's the same thing with colleges. I remember it's a little on topic, but a little off topic because in, 2000, I don't know, 2000 something or another. I think it was I forgot. Let me be honest. But it was 2000 something. And I was going to go get my master's degree at the University of Phoenix. Now, do I have a master's degree from University of Phoenix? I do, but I didn't get that. I ended up going back and got that in 2009. So I want to say this was probably around 2000 because I graduated my undergrad around 2001. So maybe 2003 or so. And I was like, well, I'm going to go and it's an online school and blah, blah, blah. Now, I went to a traditional college. I went to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. I'm always going to claim that. Oh, blue.
I dropped out from there. I'm still claiming.
That's right. So I went there, brick and mortar, every day type of deal for my 4 years. I had none of my classes were online. Then I said, well, I want to do this online, school because it allows me the flexibility, yada, yada, yada. And people are like, oh, you're going to go to online. That's not even a real college. And I was like, well, they're credentialed and but so I get what Vicky is saying because, the old heads are, this isn't how I did it. Every school we went to class on and on, professors right there, you saw them. But then it opened up, they started opening up this world of, you can go to school online. You can, and then not only go to school online, but then they took it from going to school online, being in classes at certain times to now you have the flexibility to be in class. You just listen to videos and on and on. And so you're right. At a certain point, people are like, oh, now when I graduated with my degree from University of Phoenix in 2009, and Vicky graduated same time, 2009, with her bachelor's. And by then it was online school. Absolutely. Yes. But then it was
like to say that was 2010. That was 2010. Put it out there. That's 2010.
Oh, no, our graduation was in 2010, but our diploma, our transcript says 2009.
I'm going to have to go back and look because I don't believe you. But keep going. Sorry. Just
that's because she old and her memory gone. But as I was saying,
clutch the pearls.
Clutch them all day, every day. So,
but yes, you're right. It is the mindset of, oh, that's
right.
That's not real.
That's taboo. That's not, yeah. But then now, in the high school setting, at that time in a high school setting, there really wasn't do work online, things like that. So I know that I'm still kind of a little bit of an old head in a way, but I do try to make changes. And I think other people will eventually as AI grows and things, because for me, prior to the pandemic, as I said, when I was even when I worked at the elementary school overseas, I wanted my students to do discussions online, just like you would in college. That was, something you didn't really hear of much, of doing a discussion online. What, you have your discussion in class. And then when I got to the high school level, one of the things that was when I went back to the high school level, one of the things that was important to me was to teach these kids how to type out their essays and submit work online and things of that nature. And like I said, that was before the pandemic. And I was one of the very few teachers in the building, especially in the English department, who was requiring their students to submit at least one thing per week online. I had my Google Classroom set up and all of this. And so then when the pandemic hit, it wasn't a shock for my students because they had already been submitting their stuff online. In addition to that, you know how they always have to parents have to fill out the papers and make sure they have permission. All my students had that because you already had this. I required that they had a technology plan. And so, they would have certain assignments due by Friday, 11:59 p.m. or Sunday, 11:59 p.m. How and where were you going to type? Where were you going to go to print if you need to print? And so for others, it was kind of taboo. And I had some parents coming up against me. What do you mean? And I said, you do want me to prepare your child for the future, right? You want them to be, we always say in our mission statement, prepare them to be citizens, productive citizens in society. This is how society is going. You're not going to find too many, even McDonald's jobs, where you're going in with a paper pen and filling out the application. Now everything's pretty much online. And so then after the pandemic, or during the pandemic and afterwards, of course, now people are like, oh yes, kids, of course, being online. Yes, computers, they do the work. Yes, absolutely. But it was so much kickback. And now we're at the next stage of online. Like you said, it's the AI. And I know that there will be things about me in terms of my mindset when it comes to AI that will eventually change. But because this is so new, and because as Vicky has said, I'm in the trenches, and a lot of people at the top who are saying, hey, this is a great idea, or in theory, yes, great idea. Like you said, Charissa, hey, here is a model of the essay. Now, look at what they wrote. Now, you go over here and you write your own. Don't take the ideas from here. But how do I know that? Yes, I can give you an essay in class, even if it's on the topic. I can give you an essay in class. And then I said, don't take my ideas. But because I know those are my ideas, that's it. So when I read it, if you're writing the same thing that I wrote, we have some issues and some drama. But how am I supposed to know that you will take that chat GPT or whatever it is and say, okay, this is a good model. Let me not take the ideas strictly. Let me come up with my own, but kind of follow that. So that, that is something I know people like myself will have to eventually change. But I think that's going to come down the line as it becomes more commonplace. And how AI will work or not, how you can even track to see if AI wrote it. I read a lot of articles, and I was reading an article about a woman, and she was saying how she typed out something, and then she let AI type out something, and then she asked another AI program or something like that, which one was written by AI, and it actually flagged her writing as being written by AI. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. Or a good portion of her writing being flagged by AI. And so I was like, wow. And
somebody can be in big trouble. Huh? And someone could be in trouble and without and not and should not be. That's
correct.
Right.
And so then that, and all of those factors play into things. But then I was also reading something else about how you have authors now, and some of them are having AI write their books. Well, how, you know, authentic is that? Yes, I may not know writer XYZ, author XYZ is a new, you know, new author or whatever, and AI is writing their writing, and I'm just reading like, this is a pretty good book. You know, they went over it and stuff, yeah, and fixed up some things. Pretty good book, thinking they wrote this. But then at the same time, it's almost the same thing as having a ghostwriter. Oh yeah, this person wrote, not knowing somebody else wrote their stuff. So, you know, there's so many facets to this new technology that we have to look at, because if we do think about it, we already had AI, for all practical purposes, in place before. You know, it would, like I said, ghost writing, or, you know, you have your speech writers, or you have whatever. I was reading another article today about, what is it, copywriter, and people will hire a copywriter and write something for their website or whatnot, and you're thinking, hey, they wrote it, and no, they had somebody else do it and they paid them. But of course, since they paid them, it makes it look like it's theirs. So it is a topic that needs to be discussed in much more depth. And I don't think we can even really touch the tip of the iceberg too much here on this one podcast. And I know you mentioned before, we might need a part 2, because it is something, and it would be nice to get some other teachers' perspectives as well, because, you know, we have to figure out how we're going to handle this. And then, as I mentioned in the last podcast, a lot of times parents, when it's even the simple things to think about, they overthink things so much, and they don't think about the simple things. And so, yeah, we can't expect parents to figure out how to handle this. You're doing a great job at that, but not every parent is like saying, okay, well, look here, use this as a template or whatever. They won't know what to do. But until we as educators can kind of come to some type of working solution, we can't really help the parents who may have some of these same questions, or how do they help their kid, or if they know, you know. And I mean, no offense to anybody else, but Vicky and I, as she already spoke before, our parents were not the absolute smartest ones out there. And so, you know, my mom, she could help us when we were in elementary school, but past that, she couldn't really help us. My dad couldn't help us with any homework at all. So if we were, you know, if our parents, we were younger and our parents were alive and helping us, how could they? Because they wouldn't know what to do. And if they know that they can't really help us, they may say, well, shoot, I don't know what to tell you. Go ahead and use that, the online thing to help you. You know, I'm not going to lie. Like I said, AI is in various facets. For AI, the concept of AI has been in various facets for years. I used to write my mom's college papers. I was a high schooler and I was writing her college papers. There was a lady a couple of doors down from me. I would type out her papers, but I would go through and I would change some things and tell her like, hey, this isn't right. I was a high schooler. When I was in college, I had my one really good friend. I was writing her papers all the time, and I wrote her essay to get into the master's program. And I was like, well, darn, I guess I'm pretty dang on good, because she got in. And one of the reasons. So we've always had the, you know, I've written my husband's papers. I gotta start writing people's papers. It's getting ridiculous. But the point is, it is that same concept. So you're right, Charissa. What do we need to do? And it's going to take time.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is a topic that I didn't expect to spend. This is a very important topic. And you're right. I want to talk to also hear from principals, and like, you know, I want to hear about what's going on, how they're handling it. But we are going to run out of time. We are not going to be able to get to, there's no way we're going to be able to talk about cyberbullying. But that's a whole
anything else.
That's a whole nother beast right there.
That's a whole nother beast. And then you brought up before, not only just cyberbullying, but I like how you brought up saying that your daughter sometimes she learned how to play the electric guitar by being on YouTube, you know, watching YouTube things. That in and of itself is a whole, we got 75 parts we got to go through. Yeah, we got And then you haven't even really seen myself and my sister interact, because I said on the last one, I was like, I can't wait for her to get on here. We've actually been very mellow.
I pull it together.
But you get us on here another time or two, and it might not be as mellow.
This was good. This was so good. But yeah, we're gonna have to do. So I'm putting this out there right now. For sure, we have to do part 2 when it comes to cyberbullying, and also the uses of internet in a positive light. Like the uses of internet, in a positive, because it can be a positive thing, but it has to do also with your parenting. Just like with what we're talking about too, like you said, you got to be involved. Your eyes have to be all in it. You know what I mean? You gotta, you have to. She did so well learning how to play that when she did an actual class in high school, like I read the comments from her guitar teachers that she's actually pretty good already before even she got into class. So there is something to that, right? But that's a whole nother subject. So
whole nother subject.
That's a whole nother subject. So it is dinner time for everyone, and Miss Stephanie is on a cruise, and Vicky, I don't know if you've eaten yet, but it is. I'm sure I've kept you too long.
I need another cup of ice.
Okay, I want you to know she said ice and not mice. She's not eating mice.
Ice, yes. I need another cup of ice.
She needs another cup of ice.
Pre-dinner snack.
And you do, because here you'll be talking so much, like my tongue is dry, right? So yeah,
that is not even a reason. Every morning, every evening after work, I have to hear her crunching on ice. It is the most upsetting thing.
Don't call. I am over here working out these cheekbones and this jawline. Okay. It would not have been fair for God to give me everything.
You look like Evie, like you done stuffed some stuff in your cheeks. Like
that's what I work today. Okay, it wouldn't be fair for him to give me the jaw and the cheek lines and the beauty and the smarts. I got to work at the jawline. Okay, and that's how I do it with my eyes. It would not have been fair.
But you know what? Speaking of ice, though, I'm an icer too. I didn't realize, but you know what? For me, it's because my iron had gotten crazy out of whack. And I was crunching on the ice. You guys, it was so bad. I had to go for a month. So be thoughtful of this. They had to be infused with a needle twice a week.
I'm probably at that point where I need iron infusion. I'm supposed to be taking iron every single day. And yeah, it's part of the whole thing of when you're anemic, you crave ice. And so I sit here and I'm thinking about getting up and going to get me a cup of ice now and driving and wasting my gas to go get some. But I know I probably need to be infused. But the way that my copay is set up,
brain cells.
I'm not going to get that iron infusion.
I don't know how serious it was, you guys. Like it was like, because I think, well, I'm anemic too, but my doctor told me real talk. He was like, listen. And then because as women, and especially sometimes Black women, we are go, despite, right? And so when I came in and he checked my blood and he was like, literally, you should be in a hospital right now. Like, how are you functioning? Did you drive yourself here? Because how you even have energy? That's how bad it had gotten.
Wow.
He said this is not healthy. And then he said something real deep, right? And he didn't even give me a choice. Well, of course they give you choices, but he said, so you're gonna have to come in twice a week, not one time, twice a week to get this, and then you're gonna have to do better. You just have to do better. But he said, do you know if it had gotten any lower, the oxygen is not going to be pumping your blood properly to your organs, and your organs can stop.
Oh, wow.
So think about that. Your organs can stop. I was like, shut your mouth. Yes. He was like,
did you clutch your pearls? Did you clutch them when he said that? Oh, not the organ stopping, Jesus.
Yes. He said, so I say that to especially us Black women. It's my mom too. She's anemic, and it's a problem. It's a problem. And so mom like will eat liver once a week, and I hate this, but guess who does this? Myself. You know what I mean? Like
you know what? I cannot bring myself. My PCP has me on Flintstone vitamins. So
and she can't even eat those.
They're not
it's like eating chalk. I'm not 4 anymore, okay? I'm in my 40s. I can't be sitting there trying to eat chalk and talk about that's gonna give me iron and calcium. And I'm gonna just wait to fall out. If I fall out around the right time, I ain't got to put together a lesson plan. Nothing.
You don't. You use ChatGPT, remember?
And it does a wonderful thing, don't it?
That's why we have that part
I
too.
use it for ideas.
Talk about it.
And
we
then
talk about
I
it.
sit there and be like, that ain't good enough. That ain't good enough for them babies. I got to change it up. I just use it for ideas. Okay. I'm just saying.
Well,
that's a whole nother beast, like we said. Part 2.
Because you're functioning, you're fine. But like I thought I was functioning, and he was like, "You ain't supposed to." He said, when you go home today, I'm gonna need you to, in fact, for a week, chill. He said, do you have people in the house to help you? And I was like, well, kinda, because they people in the house, but they not always the most helpful.
Right. Yeah.
So he said, but you're really gonna have to chill because that's your organ. Think about that. That messed me right up. He said, an organ could be your heart, could be your liver, could be those things that your oxygen, the blood is not getting to. Therefore, we'll stop. Therefore, you did one day.
We'll need you looking like
right there at the door with the father.
You know what?
Up. Just waiting for the father to answer.
Peter looking down like, you good? You good? You got a little bit of time. You good?
Mm-hmm.
I had to give you a visual. I had to paint a picture. Okay. So, but this has been so good. And I just, man, you guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
To have my educators. So remember, we are going to be coming back for a part 2. I got to write this down for a part 2. The next part 2 is on internet, the positives, and then we'll go on. There might be part 3. I didn't even believe that we could do a part 5. I believe it's possible. So
we could. Wait a minute. We need a part 2 on AI alone. I would love to hear from other educators and principals or district level. I would love even just to hear that perspective of what they think. I mean, this alone could be a part 2, part 3. But yes, I'm excited. But I thank you for allowing me to be on your show. So I've had a great time.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. So I'm going to make sure to have everybody's information in the description. So you will have, you want to read more about Miss Vicki. You're going to read more about Miss Vicki. Yes, ma'am. You're going to, yes. And a reminder of Miss Stephanie and all of the things she's doing as far as her tutoring and her website and how to get your kids, ready and stay ready. Because you don't have to get ready. What's the saying? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
You ain't got to get ready.
That's right. So we're going to make sure to put that into the description. And everybody, let's make this a beautiful thing. It's about sharing information in a loving way. Like here, it's a safe place. We can safely have discussions and ask questions and not feel some kind of way because I don't know the answer. That's why I have people on here that know stuff that I'm not a teacher, so let's keep doing this. So I'm just going to encourage you, if you are on YouTube, to just hit the little bell so that you can get notified when I do a new one, so that you can say, oh, she's on, okay, watch you do that. You know what I'm saying? And then later on, if you want to listen to me on podcasts, if you're driving around somewhere, going to the airport, you can find me on things like Spotify and Amazon. You can listen to me on your way to wherever you're going. So thank you ladies so much. And
Thank you.
You and I, yes. So I'm going to sign off now, but the ladies will be with me for a moment, but we're signing off, and you all have a great evening. Until next time.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and find me on Instagram at I am Charissa Marie. Also on YouTube at Charissa Marie Wants You to Be Free. Please hit that notification bell, like, comment, and share. Thank you for your support, and let's make 2024 amazing. Thank you so much for coming. We will see you the next time. Bye.